So one tool that I really love to use with my own team as well as with other leaders is the Myers-Briggs tool. It's called the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It can really be valuable to us to be able to deepen our own self-understanding, to understand others better, and to encourage communication, engagement, in ways that work for all of us. So today we're going to dig into the INFP type. INFP, we'll often call them the thoughtful idealist. So as introverts, they are more battery power. They need that time to recharge on their own. As intuitives, they're big picture, what if, what could be. Feelers, they're really driven by values oftentimes. And then perceivers want to keep their options open as long as possible, like more open to flexibility and change than some other folks are. So today we'll give you a few tips for if you are an INFP, like how to make sure that you allow your strengths to shine at work, and then some ways, like one stretch opportunity. And for folks who are working with INFPs, we'll give you 3 ways to support them. So keep listening. So core traits of INFPs, they're often very reflective. So introverted, big picture thinkers, very reflective, driven by their values. So anytime you see an F in a Myers-Briggs profile, they're often very driven by their values. And then creative. So that intuitive and perceiving together makes people typically like really open to creativity. INFPs in particular are very like outside of the box thinkers and creators. So some strengths at work that you might see are they're empathetic. So really wanting to know more about people, wanting to support people where they are. They can be very authentic. So what you see is what you get, and purpose driven. So again, values are really important to them. They want to share their values at work. And potentially some based on their behavior, we'll see, but like what we think is some famous INFPs might be Marie Kondo, who works on like if something brings you joy, you should keep it. If it doesn't bring you joy, maybe consider giving it away. Another potential famous INFP is Lady Gaga, very creative, outside the box, and then Nicole Kidman, as well as Morgan Freeman. If you think of other folks who might be INFPs based on these descriptions, let us know in the comments. And so here are 2 tips if you're an INFP, ways to be able to have your strength shine. And so one is to tie your work to values. So your values are probably really important to you. If not, if you haven't like dug into those, make sure that you take some time to identify what are the things that matter most to you in the world. And when something matters a lot to you, you really can engage deeply and you want to have that connection to yourself. Don't ignore that inner compass. Really make sure that you take time to dig into what is important to you and see where there's a connection to those values in the work and the way that you operate out in the world. A second tip for INFPs is to make time for reflection. So you likely are, introverted, big picture thinker. So make sure that you have that time for reflection and that you don't ignore that you'll need. So things like journaling might be really beneficial to you, maybe solo walks, or just taking time to ideate on your own will help you recharge. A stretch opportunity for INFPs is to share your ideas with folks sooner. So I'm guessing that you are very creative. You are thinking through what your ideas are, and we want to hear those from you. So sometimes introverts don't share as quickly as our extroverted friends do. So please make sure that you think of ways like to be able to share those ideas with folks before they're even perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. No idea is perfect, but really take time to share those ideas with folks. Now, if you work with an INFP, we're going to give you 3 tips to support them. And so again, INFPs are very deeply caring folks, very original thinkers. And so to support them, you want to first create a safe space for input. So you want to really provide that space, provide those opportunities to be able to hear from INFPs what their ideas are. And so it's important to not just kind of rush, like trying to get a quick answer from folks all the time. We want to be able to allow time for internal processing, or to maybe write down their ideas first before they share them, or providing questions in advance. Hey, we're going to talk about these topics in the next meeting. Please make sure you bring your ideas. I'm excited to hear them from you. So you really want to intentionally, as a leader, allow that space for input from your creative thinkers like your INFPs. A second tip for working with INFPs is to connect to their values. So learn more about what are their values, like what matters to them the most, how do they want to show up in the world, and help them to make that direct connection to the work that they're doing if there's some kind of distance there. So really they care often about having purpose-driven work. And so there's oftentimes an opportunity to help support them to understand what matters most and to make that connection to the work that they're doing. A third tip for working with INFPs is to respect their autonomy. So they likely want some freedom to be creative, to think outside the box, to do things differently, to have their flair shine a little bit. And they're probably going to do some things in unconventional ways. So help them understand like where are the places that they can do that at work and where we just kind of need to just stick to the script and go with what we've got already because it's working well. So make sure that you kind of help paint that picture for them. Hey, here are things that we're just going to do. This is the way it's worked before, and it's not worth changing it up. But here's a way I really think that we can do something different. So please bring your creative ideas and your unconventional ways and your outside of the box thinking to these particular projects or these particular deliverables. So that way you can really like help to bridge that gap for them. If you're a DISC fan, so DISC, DISC is another a tool that folks use is based on the work of Carl Jung, just like the work of Myers-Briggs. And so if you are a fan of DISC, for INFPs, you might see some alignment with high I, so influence. They're very enthusiastic, creative, people-driven, or high S, which is for steadiness. So kind of in the background, very people-centered, very purpose-driven, kind of the glue. And so on the flip side for in the DISC system, the C, conscientiousness, is more, I would say, like clipboard, like really by the book and doing exactly as, following these procedures exactly as they are. That is going to be a stretch for INFPs. So again, I think it's important to just understand that and to make sure that you are clear with them on, hey, here are processes we have to follow, and here's the reason, the rationale behind it. Here are ways that we can be creative and places we can be creative and think outside the box and bring some really cool new ideas to it. That can help you to bridge the gap with folks with INFP preferences. And we love working with folks one-on-one. We love working with teams. I love coaching. So if you're interested in learning more about Myers-Briggs, DISC, or any other tool that helps people to continue to grow in their reflection and communication, please let me know. You can reach out to us at kjconsultinggroup.com. There's a contact form, or you can email us at kjteam@kjconsultinggroup.com. Thank you.